We just got another drop for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Insider Episode 2 called Meet the Support Squad. Apparently they're dropping more information on the secondary cast that's going to support you while you play the game, which is kind of cool. I'm interested to see if this gives us any more information about potentially like another play test. I think personally for them, and I predicted all this like 2 months ago, their pivot needs to be focusing on the narrative. They need to focus on what their fans want, which is a high quality story, and kind of put the looter shooter stuff to the side, because every time they show off more of the looter shooter stuff, people get less and less interested. So they just kind of have to pretend like it's not there and then get people to buy it and then realize it's a looter shooter once they're in too deep, right? That's basically what their goal is. So they're doing precisely that. And I'm interested, you know, the most recent thing that they did, the insider video that they did was all about the story and characters with a couple little mentions about gameplay. We'll see. This is the support squad is how they're phrasing it. So it seems like they're implying that this is going to be on more gameplay stuff, support squads within the team. So that could be interesting, but I don't know. Let's just see it. We're cranking this at 4K because we don't settle for anything less, and we're going to look at it in the best quality possible. And let's see. Let's see. I hope to be convinced. I would love for this game to be awesome because it's from one of my favorite devs of all time. I don't like the idea of a looter shooter battle pass heavily monetized game, but you know what? If it's awesome and fun enough to get through all that, then I'm down.
All the fun is right here.
Hello, I'm Axel Rydby, game director here at Rocksteady Studios.
I'm Darius Sadigian, studio director at Rocksteady Studios.
We're so excited to welcome you all to episode 2 of our ongoing series, Suicide Squad Insider. In our last episode, we gave you a look at our combat system that combines story, powerful traversal abilities, iconic melee attacks, and explosive gunplay to offer something truly unique.
Hello, beautiful.
We wanted to challenge ourselves. We wanted to expand and really push ourselves in terms of making something new and fresh.
Light him up.
When first introduced, the free flow combat of Batman Arkham Asylum broke new ground and set a standard that is still popular today. In that spirit, the Rocksteady team decided to delve into new mechanics.
If you're playing solo, you have the power to make combat in our game unique to you while making your way through our story campaign. If you decide to play co-op with friends, you can each become an expert with your playstyle and custom.
Somebody, and again, I don't remember who, but somebody described these things. They're like, oh, Suicide Squad looks so bad. It's just a game where you run around shooting and popping purple zits. And since they said that, I can't unsee it. I can't unhear it. And now every time I see any of these big glowing purple weak points, I just think of like, yeah, I'm running around popping massive Brainiac zits. That's all I can think of the whole time. So now that I've told you, you're not going to be able to forget it. And now it's going to taint your impression. But this is what you get when you have your whole gameplay system tied around popping big purple zits.
Nice builds, creating a powerful squad unlike any other.
Each person can offer a different benefit to the play experience.
We're super excited to see those sort of team play synergistic effects happen.
You want a high five?
Up high.
In the Suicide Squad, the world, the narrative.
I'm so uninterested in these like waves of corrupted enemies. Like, I'm just so uninterested in it. I'll tell you what. Yeah, Juicebox, exactly. It's basically a flashier Fruit Ninja. Yeah, that's exactly what this is. I mean, honestly, it's just with all of this, I am hopeful that they can pull it off, but they keep showing stuff we've already seen. They might show an arena or two that we haven't, but we're not really seeing anything fresh, anything brand new. Granted, we're only a minute in, so maybe that will change, but it's just not clear how they're going to shake up the gameplay beyond just fighting waves and waves of these generic enemies that have the same guns, that look identical to each other, that are just different colored variations of what we've already seen. And that's concerning to me because like in the Arkham games, there wasn't a whole lot of enemy variety. It was one of the weak points of those games, except it was kind of counterbalanced by the amazing world building, by how alive everything felt and seemed, and how the story was so dark and captivating. and all that other stuff. In this game, it seems like all of those other things that benefited Arkham Knight and Arkham City and Arkham Asylum are just not present here. The city is entirely dead. Apparently because all of these enemies are basically infected civilians or like converted or corrupted civilians. So there are no NPCs like exploring the world. There's nobody to save. There's no quest givers in the open world. It's just a big open sort of city playground. And maybe for some people that's enough to captivate them. But personally for me, in years past, when I've played games where there's nobody within the world to save, it doesn't really make the world feel very much like it's worth saving. A great example is Death Stranding, where like Death Stranding, you talk to a bunch of holograms that are just kind of standing blankly. Sam Porter Bridges, thank you for bringing this box of aluminum foil to my door. Please put it in the basket. Then you do that. Then he pretends to look. How'd you get here so fast with everything so perfect? Thank you. You're doing a great job connecting us to the chiral network. I look forward to seeing you again. Like, that's the whole thing. And it makes it really, really hard to feel like, okay, I want to save this guy. I want to save the world so that he can live a better life. Nobody wants to. It's like, can you just stop? You're freaking me out. So hopefully this world gets even better and better and better and better. Wait until you rescue the chiral artist and take her to the hot springs. Yeah, dude, for real. It's you remember the oh man, my favorite sequence was that one with the, what did they call him, like the trash man or like the garbage man or the dumpster man, something like that. And like he has the girlfriend that you reconnect with, like reconnect them together, but they hired like a Japanese actress who couldn't really speak English to do the English scene. And so the whole time, like, it's just the most awkward performance ever. It was really, really weird. It was really, really weird. Yeah, but Kojima is a genius. Yes.
The narrative, all our features evolve through the lens of DC lore.
Fans for the DC Universe are going to be really excited for this. Not only are we bringing characters back that we've used in the Arkham series, but we're introducing new ones.
You can call me Colonel Rick Flag.
We want players to feel like they explored the DC universe with us, not just through the story, but also through the mechanics.
Ah, no lasso? You gotta be kidding me.
In this episode, we'll meet some of the iconic DC characters who will be helping our anti-heroes to take on their impossible mission.
Awesome.
Through conversations with our team, our voice cast, and our playtesters, along with extended gameplay, we'll give you a preview of some of the amazing new possibilities we're excited about with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Wait, which superheroes did you say you were again?
This is Suicide Squad Insider, Episode 2.
So already, I mean, they are taking a real focus on comparing it constantly to the Arkham series, which I think, to be fair, is exactly what they should do. I think people have gotten it mixed up with me saying what they should do and what, like, I'll be convinced by. No, I've said if they want this game to sell, they need to rework the marketing campaign from focusing on the sort of looter shooter elements and all the gameplay, which people don't seem very hyped about and very interested in. And we saw that back in, I believe it was March or February, when they revealed that trailer that became mass downvoted and they delayed the game and pushed it back to next year. And it was specifically because of that negative response to the gameplay. So I said, if they want this to sell, or at least have a chance of selling well, they need to focus on the narrative. They need to compare it to the Arkham games, which is what everybody knows and loves them for. They need to make sure that they're not framing this as an always online live service game. They are saying now that the always online component will be removed and you'll be able to play it offline in single player, but that will come after launch. So however long after launch that is, who knows? However, they can't focus on any of that if they want this game to sell. They need to, as bad as it sounds, they basically need to trick casual gamers into thinking this is much closer to Arkham Knight than it actually is. And that might actually work. It might not, but we'll see. But me saying that's what they need to do to be successful and to sell this game is different from me being like, oh yeah, if they do that, then I'll buy it. Like, no. And this is what I'm really proud of you guys for, is that you guys are not just like blindly buying into marketing posts and just being like, oh yeah, well, I mean, they said that the game is going to be beloved by Arkham fans and I like Arkham, so yeah, I'm going to love the game. It's like, no. Just because they said a thing doesn't mean it's true, okay? Shocker. They don't have to always say what's completely true every time, you know? It's possible that they're wrong.
The RPG systems are the connective tissue inside of the game.
Things like weapon customization, talent customization, things that really let players get into how they want their character to play.
Now, let's begin.
We built this game with near limitless strategic and personal options.
Players craft their own character within a character. Everyone can pick not only their favorite, but really make a character that's their own.
There's really high skill ceiling mechanics in this game where as you learn to traverse, as you learn to combine your character's abilities more and more, you become better, your character becomes stronger, and in the story of the game, you're taking on stronger and stronger threats.
We have this perspective of always tying back to the narrative and always giving context around the mechanics. With the DC world out there, it just gave us unlimited potential.
With the Arkham games, you could modify some elements of Batman himself. We knew early on, going with an action shooter was an opportunity to go down a new path and try out new mechanics with a new type of game.
Someone's been busy. How'd you have time to make all this?
In our last episode, we showed the Suicide Squad recruiting the Penguin for Argus.
Sure
Okay,
did.
Waller. We bagged Penguin.
He goes back to the Hall of Justice to start helping the squad out.
I'm taking authority.
Since we last showed you the Justice League's HQ, it's had a makeover from Amanda Waller and her team, and it's now the forward operating base for Argus's fight against Brainiac.
So when considering gameplay, we knew we needed an arms dealer.
You need a good gun runner.
For us, it's been great to bring Penguin back from the Arkham days. We love working with this character.
What he gives you is lots of options for upgrading individual weapons, crafting.
It feels like you're actually interacting with Penguin when you're crafting these items, and that's really where Penguin as a character comes to life in the game.
You get to build them up, creating some really unique combinations, and you can play the game in a way that's unique to you. We have weapons based on different manufacturers.
Star Labs, we have Amertech, we have LexCorp, we have DCPD, and they all come with different flavors.
Lex is a very scientific man, right? The guns are very scientific in nature. They have very specific recoil patterns and spread patterns, almost like they are calculated. Then we have Amertech, which is more improvised weaponry, really fast fire rates, high ammo capacity, but it kicks like a donkey.
And once you've unlocked those manufacturers, you can go to Penguin and ask him to sort of craft specific weapons in those manufacturers.
Different guns will play with different styles. Maybe you've got a Deadshot focused on critical hits, on headshots. That might mean that you want to favor a legendary gun which works with that playstyle.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah. I mean, like, yes, in a looter shooter, you do need weapon customization and upgrades and crafting and stuff. I think having Cobblepot be the one that you contact for it is a good idea. I think that's kind of fun. Like, oh, yeah, you bring him in, he kind of lives out there. Like, that kind of makes sense. So, like, what I'm starting to feel with Suicide Squad is that it's a really valiant attempt at what they were tasked with doing, which is that they were told by Warner Brothers executives, hey, you need to make a looter shooter, you need to make a live service game. You can use the Suicide Squad IP if you want, so you could do that, and maybe that'll find some success. And they have taken time and they've done it. And so I'm glad to see like the weapon customization and stuff is there. There are some narrative elements. Personally, I'm not the kind of gamer that finds fighting like waves and waves of the exact same enemies very fun. Like I might do it for a single run through a campaign. I'm not going to play this for thousands of hours or hundreds of hours or anything. And bear in mind, this is a live service game. You're supposed to engage with this for years. Like that's the goal for this game. If you're looking at this, you're like, yeah, I'd play this for like 20, 30 hours through the campaign. That for them is a failure. They want you to buy it and to play it for years to come because that's how long they're going to be supporting it. So there's a real question I think everybody needs to ask themselves is whether what you're seeing on screen is enough to captivate you long term. Because this $70 price tag is not just going to be the end all be all. Like they're going to be releasing new characters for another $10-$20 for you to play as. They're going to be adding probably more missions and stuff, different boss fights as, you know, expansions and stuff. But personally, shooting big zits, glowing zits, is not going to keep me playing for months and months and months.
Penguin is only one member of what we call the support squad.
Toot toot, scumbags!
There are various supervillains that the squad have begged, stolen, or borrowed from.
For players who just want to play through the story, they'll get the full arsenal to be able to take on the Justice League. But for players who really want to sort of maximize their characters, the support squad missions unlock really cool features.
Our designers have put a lot of effort into making sure that when you play the game, you can have a very different experience from someone else.
Let's meet the rest of the support squad. Here we can see the scientist Gizmo, who has set up shop in the basement of the Hall of Justice.
You're perfect.
We know.
His primary contribution to the squad is the sort of airdropped vehicles that you can use for combat.
Okay, so this is the first time we've seen these vehicles. They mentioned them in, I don't know if it was episode 1 of The Insider or if it was in one of the trailers or something, but this is the first time we're actually seeing them. And people were wondering, like, okay, so you can customize a vehicle that you have. What does that look like? Like, what is this actually going to be like? And apparently they just said it's the sort of airdropped vehicles that you can use for combat. So it's not for traversal and not for navigating an open world. They are dropped in vehicles and little, like, almost like kill streaks, it seems like, where you call it in and then you can use it to just use machine guns quickly to wipe out waves of enemies.
Primary contribution to the squad is the sort of airdropped vehicles that you can use for combat.
You're getting into this flying vehicle with rockets and a turret and sort of blow shit up. And the havoc you can create is outstanding.
Because, you know, everybody's favorite part of Arkham Knight was the Batmobile.
Each character from the DC universe offers the player a different way of interacting with the game.
I've been trying on the name Toyman.
More like Annoy Man. Am I right?
Toyman is one character that helps you actually figure out ways of defeating the Justice League.
He's a
They missed an amazing opportunity. I've been trying out the name Toy Boy or Toyman. You could be Toy Boy, or my personal favorite would have been Boy Toy. Would have made a lot. I think it would have been great. That's what I would have done.
Tech boy genius who
It's
wants
me,
nothing more
Boy
than
Toy.
to help save Metropolis. He can't quite come to terms with the fact that his heroes are now the villains.
Changing stuff is my middle name.
You can unlock more and more things you can do with Toyman to enhance your gear.
If you want to really perfect your gear to really suit how you like to play the game, Toyman's the character to talk to.
I'm Hack.
Hack is this sort of electronic astral projection.
Anything that has electricity, Hack can manifest through.
By working with Hack and increasing your talent points over the course of the game, you can unlock a whole myriad of different abilities.
For example, with Harley, you can increase her grenade damage.
Thank you!
Alongside the talent tree, we have what we call the combat combo system. As you're doing these more intricate moves, you build up your combo faster, and the higher that combo is, the more talents you activate.
Oh, this tough love!
Hack also uses her abilities to literally hack Brainiac's comms, so you get to listen in on what the Justice League is talking about, and you also get to hear their sort of corrupted personalities and how different they are from the heroes you once knew.
We have complete control, Brainiac.
Now let's talk about one more member of our support squad. Another infamous DC villain that Director Waller once recruited.
At this point in the game, the squad has discovered evidence that Poison Ivy may be alive.
Ivy? Poison Ivy? Dead Poison Ivy after Scarecrow gave Gotham a crop dusting.
For fans who paid close attention in Arkham Knight, they will remember that when Poison Ivy died, she left behind a little sprout.
I got a real strong hunch she ain't pushing up daisies no more.
And in this game, you discover that that sproutling has been cared for by some people who may have had their own motivations for doing so. But in the chaos of Metropolis, she's escaped.
Find her. Bring her to me for questioning.
Using special technology they've acquired, the Suicide Squad is tracking Ivy down.
If Ivy's in the city, this tracker will lead you to her.
Unless y'all want to end up a poor.
I'm really weirded out by why they're doing this. Why are they dropping intentionally story spoilers in promotional materials? Why would they do that? I mean, are they just maybe they have so much narrative content that they can like spare it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they just are like drowning in narrative stuff. So it would be like if you're talking about The Witcher 3 and you're like, so the game opens with Geralt looking for Yen and he's trying to find her, trying to figure out where she is, and then he like leaves Whiterun and she's not actually there. They go somewhere else and then finds her there. It's like, well, there's a lot of extra stuff in the game, so they can kind of afford to let those little bits drop, even though that's technically a story spoiler. And maybe this is like, I don't know, like the outline of the story. I would guess everything they're showing is like really early on, I would assume. So, because all of these levels, all these areas are the same as we've seen them do combat in previously. I hope dearly and prayed to the gods of DC that this is not all the game has in terms of levels. I hope there's a lot more. It's a lot more interesting than just these empty city streets and blocks of buildings, but maybe it is all the game has. But at the very least, I would assume that most of what they've shown is very, very early in the game. So maybe they're just dropping another very early quest that you go find Ivy and then she gives you extra perks and another leveling system. So all of this happens in the first like 2 hours of the game. So who cares? Like maybe that's what they're doing. It's weird, right?
Spring Mix, you better put me in charge and let me talk to Ives first.
So in playing solo, players can switch between any of the characters. You'll get to experience all the different play styles across all of the different missions.
And here we go!
So here she is. Thought she'd be taller.
Are you serious right now? Poison Ivy is a redhead. This is a plant. You might be the dumbest.
There's my girl.
She is not made of meat. Is this what you call a vegetarian option?
I don't know you, but my pheromones remember you. Strange emotions.
Tell me about it. Wasn't expecting you to come in fun size. You really don't know me? Harley and Ivy forever? In 10-story burning letters?
Nope.
Jeez, LexCorp really did a number on you, huh, Red? He dressed you up in that outfit, too?
No. I took it when I broke out. He shut me in a room in his tower. If I worked on the things he wanted, I got a whole hour of sunlight every day.
What did he want?
Weapons, making them more effective against the alien invaders. You know, they're very susceptible to plant toxins. And I know all about plant toxins.
We know. That's why they call you Poison Ivy.
It's just Ivy, weirdo.
Where's Lex now?
I don't know. Something spooked him, I guess. He got in his big robot suit and stomped off.
Ooh, I know that look. Who you murdering?
The corrupted things that are coming. All of them. They're poisoning the earth with their gross bodies. So I lured them here.
The wrath of nature. I like it.
Oh, this is my friend Daphne. We'll make all the aliens choke to death on spores. You make sure Daphne doesn't die, or you're next.
Waller, be advised Lex is AWOL in a power suit, and Ivy's an eco-terrorist middle schooler. Dead shot out.
How'd we end up hugging a giant plant? I have allergies. Anyone care? Ah!
Here's a brief look at the mission that follows your first encounter with Ivy.
So again, I'll just insist. I feel like this is a surprisingly big plot twist reveal thing for them to just casually drop in a trailer. It's a little weird to me, but maybe, like I said, maybe they just have so much narrative content it doesn't matter. Or maybe they're just at this point like, hey, we just need to show that we have narrative stuff. It's not just a looter shooter, so we'll share it. It's still surprising. Or maybe it's that most of the end game or later game missions are kind of inspired or affected by this. So if they didn't address it, then they couldn't show later game footage, so they have to bring it up. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
You'll see a variety of custom builds and loadouts that draw on the power of DC villains.
Ivy's plans need protection. Split up your squad to attack from different directions.
Oh my god, it's just protect the president.
Now go defend!
Combat in this game revolves around 3 core pillars: traversal, gunplay, and melee. Someone like Deadshot can take a vantage point.
So if you were worried that the new updated version of the quest, now that Ivy is now involved, if you were worried it would just be more of the same. Well, moving on.
And provide cover fire.
Some people say that the quests are just going to be more of the same, with the same repeated enemies over and over again, fighting with guns that feel very similar to each other. Also, they can sell you a battle pass for $20 a pop every month while they milk you for all you're worth. Some would say that. Continuing the video.
You can find wild ways to upgrade your melee attacks. With the Great Suspender, a single boomerang can launch several enemies off the ground.
A job worth doing right.
Harley's gun is from the Bane's Rage set. Landing a critical hit spawns a power-up that can infuse other weapons like grenades with Bane's Rage, making them more powerful.
Get the invaders off Daphne! Quickly! Those aliens pollute everything!
King Shark's loadout here includes Black Mask's Bulletstorm and the Heatwave's Molten Shield to synergize.
Okay, I gotta know. I'm gonna do a poll. I gotta know. I feel like these floating symbols and floating icons and floating like ammo reserves just feel so outdated. That's what I feel, at least. They feel really outdated to me. Like I see them and it makes me feel like I'm playing a game from 15 years ago, but not necessarily in a good way. So I want to know if you guys feel the same. Like, is it just arcadey and fun to you, or is it kind of cringe? Like, what do you think? It's weird because part of Suicide Squad feels really up to date and really like sharp and vivid and modern and simplistic, and the other parts are like this.
Super chat.
Thank you.
Not gonna lie, I'm getting Anthem vibes, LMAO tears of joy, or is it just me?
I don't know. It's just, I think there are some vibes where it's like, I think there's some interesting ideas, but there's a lot of flash, and the question is substance. Like the story stuff, if they're willing to just so casually drop major plot twists and spoilers like that, it makes me worried that maybe the campaign really is an afterthought, and they're like, well, it's fine if people find out about that because this isn't about the narrative, it's about the gameplay, and we want to show them more gameplay, so we'll just put the story on the sideline. Maybe that's what it is, because I feel like if they could help it, they wouldn't be willingly spoiling more stuff than has already leaked and everything. It seems like most of you guys are saying that you kind of feel the same way. It just feels weird, like these floating Black Mask ones, and then the big floating Bane icons too. It's like right here,
making them more powerful.
See the big masks that float? Like, it's very arcadey, and I could see it being fun, but then you go to the cutscenes and they're all super grounded and realistic. And then they go to gameplay and it's just super arcadey and cartoony. It feels like two different games entirely.
Get the invaders off Daphne! Quickly! Those aliens pollute everything!
King Shark's loadout here includes Black Mask's Bulletstorm and the Heatwave's Molten Shield to synergize. He has triggered the Bulletstorm effect, which means that he's now immune from damage thanks to the Heatwave's Molten Shield, making this a perfect opportunity to get in close.
Savor it.
This mission is where we introduce Afflictions, elemental attacks from Ivy's plants that draw on the powers of different DC villains. Use an Affliction to freeze your enemies before you deliver an explosive finale.
I guarantee you that's why. I think that's why they're showing this, because they wanted to show later gameplay, and it's like trying to show, I don't know, Fallout 4 gameplay without going to Boston, or trying to show, I think it's just like, if they want to show later gameplay, all the arenas are going to be affected by this because it's a gameplay ability. So for them to just not reference it but show these abilities wouldn't make sense, so they have to show how it's narratively justified. But I don't know, I still think it's weird.
Task Force X, report. Have you secured Ivy?
Yeah, kind of a funny story.
Although she doesn't remember her old life, Ivy is still a deadly expert with toxins, and she can offer your builds an interesting new feature, Afflictions.
The results are so neat.
When you manage to recruit her, she comes back to the Hall of Justice as kind of like a loose cannon, precocious toddler who also has terrifying genetic engineering powers.
Then we introduce the concept of afflictions. Players can apply these afflictions to their melee weapons, their grenades, so they can mix and match different things for the encounter.
And each affliction ties back to a DC character.
So we have 4 afflictions. Diablo Blaze sets people on fire, burns them over time. But you can't shield harvest them. We have Deep Freeze, freezes people. You can shatter them with your guns, but they are pretty resistant to melee damage. They won't drop ammo when they die. At any point, you can have up to 2 different elemental afflictions, then add in the 3 other players. So what you've got there is lots of different ways to engage with enemies.
Your fight is far from over.
So at Rocksteady, what we sort of pride ourselves on is investigating how players play. Do they get the language that we're trying to create? We had an amazing opportunity to get a group of proper gamers from the community involved in the development process pretty early.
Some of the characters, the mission types during the story, I'd definitely say this has got a Rocksteady stamp on it.
The experience of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is really fluid, really smooth, and it feels really polished. It's chaos in a good way.
It's very fast and very momentum-based, and I think there's a lot of verticality to it. No other game.
What would you guys do if I just appeared in this video randomly? That would be so freaking funny if I'm just all of a sudden in the corner. That was pretty good. Dude, it'd be so funny. Oh man, that would be, I kind of wish I'd watched this ahead of time and then like gone into After Effects and put myself in it. That would have been so funny. And then I just totally ignore it. I don't acknowledge it whatsoever. I think that would be so funny.
Game that makes you feel so free and powerful.
Yes!
You also have this deep building of your character with a more superhero twist. For example, I kind of gravitated towards Dead Shark because I'm a big fan of shooting guns and big crit builds. You can use the juggling mechanic to get 100% crit chance, and then from there, do big damage.
The knowledge that we gained, seeing players explore the mechanics, it gave us like a little taste of what it's going to be like when we got like a bigger community to share the game with.
Now listen, how about a team up?
When the studio made the Arkham series, we were very much focused on single character, single perspective. And with this game, we saw that opportunity to get the community more involved.
For us, it was about expanding and enhancing into something new and different.
And more wallets too. That was a big part of it.
And we wanted this experience to be shared with more than just one person.
One of the coolest experiences in the game is when you're playing with friends and each character can tackle the problems that you're facing together differently.
You are learning how to overcome challenges together.
All these characters are geared up to be able to complement each other.
Because each of them is moving differently, sometimes another character might come in from a direction you don't expect. You can create unintentional cinematic moments with your friends. When you really are in sync with your squad, it's such a special feeling, and I think something I haven't experienced in any other game.
Multiplayer is new for the studio, but it's super exciting because we get to see Rocksteady hallmarks of story-driven game, but from multiple perspectives, and getting to share that with your friends is pretty unique.
We hope you enjoyed episode 2 of Suicide Squad Insider.
Phew, I need a smoke.
I I need more therapy.
In our next episode, we'll take a look at what you can expect from our game after launch.
This is the biggest cinematic experience that Rocksteady has ever created, with more hours of cinematic cutscenes than ever before. But I think we leave the setting of our story open enough that for post-launch content, players will be excited to come back and find out what we're going to do next.
You, want to talk about it?
Know what, Quinn? I do.
I don't think players are ready for the new playable characters they're going to get, or even the places they're going to get to take them.
This game is much bigger than the world of the Suicide Squad. Rocksteady will continue to build on the story.
We're delivering you a full game, but for those that want to go further, we're going to have lots of new updates that are free to our players, and we really want to engage with our community to give them new experiences regularly.
At the end of the game, everyone goes, wow, this was a hell of a ride. Let's play again.
Oh, somebody in the comments posted this. They said at this timestamp, at 17 minutes in, you can look here, and it says under Chapter 3, Worst Laid Plans, branching story. So people were like, oh, does that mean that there's going to be narrative choices and the story could change and branch? It could. It could mean that. It's possible. It could also just mean that that's how they're describing it. I mean, that could be part of it too, but I don't really know what that means, I'll be honest. This is one of those games we're just gonna have to play. As I've said before, I think there's gonna be a lot of people that like live service games and looter shooters. They're probably gonna have a really good time with it, honestly. But there are also a lot of people that are going to play it and be sorely disappointed. And my feeling is that I'll probably play it and then get like 15, 20 hours in. I don't know how long the story is going to be. Maybe 25 hours, maybe 20, 25 hours. I don't know. But if we say 20 hours playing it, having a decent time, I don't think I'm the type of player that's going to go, like she said, and play it again. Like get through it and then be like, okay, I want to keep playing with my characters. I'm going to go through it all over again with my friends, and we're going to keep playing this for months on end. And ooh, I'll buy the battle pass and I'll get new skins for the characters and stuff. I just don't think that that's going to hook me. For some people, it absolutely will. For some people, it absolutely will. But I do think this is going to be one of those games that some people become obsessed with, and it's like their main game, and they will defend it to the end of the earth. And then there's going to be a lot of other people who are like, it's just meh. Yeah, I think that's how it's going to break down. He took my thing.